Hi, this is Ashley from the Laid Back Homeschooler, here to talk to you about the unique challenge of homeschooling multiple grades. In the public school setting, they have the one teacher teaching several students who are on the same grade level. So they're getting the same lesson, they're doing the same assignments, they're learning together, they're working together, and it really streamlines the process because there's one lesson. For a given subject area, there's one lesson that the teacher has to teach for that class. Homeschooling presents a unique challenge in that if you have more than one child, you're going to be homeschooling multiple grade levels or age groups. And then if you have a child with special needs, that throws a whole other dimension in there. Currently, in our homeschool, I have a fifth grader, a third grader, a second grader, a preschooler, and an infant. Who I count not for the subject matter, but because he does affect our schedule and the way that we do things and when we're able to do those things. Now, I talked about schedules in a previous video, how we structure our homeschool day, how we do our housework in with that, errands, extracurriculars, all that kind of stuff that also has to fit into a typical day. So I'm not going to be talking about schedules per se in this video. I am going to talk about this schedule as it relates to teaching multiple students on different levels. So when you're making that homeschool schedule, one of the first things you need to know is how much time you're going to need. I found for me, the best way to do this is to look at my most work-intensive student, which historically has been my oldest. The older a child gets, the more work that they have in their day. So I will typically look at her schedule and figure out how much time it's going to take for us to get all of that done. In the past, we haven't started school until 10 a.m. That was just what worked for us. We would take our time in the mornings, excuse me. I am not a morning person. I need to get up, have my coffee, sit in the silence for a little bit, and then we have breakfast and knock out some housework, and by 10 o'clock we're ready to start our day. This year, though, I realized that was not going to work. With the amount of stuff that my fifth grader was going to have to do during the day, it just wasn't going to work for us to wait until 10 a.m. to start. I was not excited about this, and I fought this for a while. But in the end, I realized that what was best for our family was going to be to start earlier in the day so that we could get more done before lunch. Because by the time we get to lunch, my younger children are needing naps. Even my older children, my younger elementary age children, are wanting to take a break. They're needing to rest their bodies. If not sleep, they need to go, sit and read for a while. They need the downtime. So we really try to be done with most of our stuff by lunchtime every day. Quick little homeschool hack here. That is one of the reasons that I specifically look for subjects that we can combine, subjects that we can all do together. And right now we have 2 of those that we do every single day. I chose a history curriculum and a science curriculum that I could do with multiple students. This year, because of some needs that my oldest daughter has, sorry, my kids are outside, because of the needs that my oldest daughter has in her science, portfolio, if you will, I wasn't able to do one science for all of my elementary students. So I am teaching multiple sciences this year, but I am still combining science for my 2 younger girls, my second and third graders. And it's the same science that we're doing with our co-op, which is even better. And then our history curriculum is the same way. And I'll talk about when we do that and how that works later. But both of these curriculums that we're using take the same lesson and then have age-appropriate activities to reinforce it. So we'll sit and we'll do the lesson together as a group, as a family, and then I'll give them their different assignments as they, as needed for that lesson. So if you are homeschooling multiple age groups, this is definitely something that I recommend looking into because it has made life a lot easier. When you take history, for example, if you look at the public school, where we live in Georgia, one year the students may be doing Georgia history, or in the next year they're doing geography, and the next year they do world history or American history. So at each grade level, they're getting a different history. That would put me, if I copied and pasted that idea over to my homeschool, that would put me teaching multiple histories in a day. Now I'm needed in 3 different places for a subject. So I'm going to have 3 different times during my day to teach that subject. Doing it this way, where I'm combining all of these different age groups into one subject, when I find a curriculum that will allow me to do that, or that I can adapt to do that, now I'm teaching this subject once in one place during the day, and then I can send my students to work on it, as needed, to whatever level. Maybe they're going to make a cuneiform tablet out of Play-Doh. Maybe my 5th grader is going to write a paragraph on something. But they're going to take the activity, or they're going to take the lesson, and then they're going to do an age-appropriate activity to go along with it. Saves me time, keeps them interested. They're still learning on their level. They're still being engaged with the material. The lesson is still being reinforced, but I've simplified my day. And that is really the key, I think, to homeschooling multiple grades, is finding a way to take what you need to do and streamlining it, simplifying everything. We're still getting everything done that needs to be done, but we're simplifying it in a way that I'm not stressed, my kids aren't stressed, and it works. So at the end of every summer, we do some school through the summer, but at the end of every summer, I start really getting set up for our start of the new year in the fall. And one of the things that I have to do, because I am homeschooling multiple grades, is figure out where different subjects need to go, because there are some subjects that I know my girls, because my girls are all elementary school age this year. My son is preschool age, so his needs are a little different. But my 3 girls, there are some subjects that they're going to need face-to-face instruction on. Things like math, things like English. There are other things that I don't necessarily have to work with them on, as long as their reading level is up to par. So for my older 2 girls, we have a slot where a subject block in the day where they do spelling, reading, and penmanship. My older 2 girls, I can just say, hey, go do SPR. And they say, okay, and they just go do it on their own. I do their spelling tests with them once a week. I check their work and make sure that everything is being done like it needs to be and that they're understanding everything. But I don't have to instruct them in reading. I don't have to have them read out loud to me anymore, because they've proven their reading level enough to me that I can say, okay, here, go read your story, and then answer the questions and give those to me so I can make sure you're comprehending the material. But for those subjects that need face-to-face instruction, like math and English, I try to structure the day in such a way that I'm never needed in more than one place at a time. Okay? That doesn't always work, but I get as close to it as I can. And genuinely, I don't know why I said that. Honestly, the best way that I have found to make that work is with sticky notes. I will literally put each child's name and a subject on a sticky note, and I will move those around because I'm a visual person when it comes to my schedules and my day. I will move those around until I see that I have got everybody's stuff sorted out in a way that it can be managed. Here is our schedule, which I showed you in that previous video. I know that the print is backwards, but you can see each of my children are color-coded. So I arranged it, with the exception of this first subject block, I arranged it in such a way that no child needs me for anything at the same time that another child does. So, for example, when we start our day, we do start with one child doing math and the other 2 doing English. Because I held one of my children back in English last year. It was just beyond her. She's got more of a math brain, and she just wasn't ready for all the material in 2nd grade English. So that's another subject that I've combined. But I'll typically do their English lesson first because it's shorter. I can get them started. They have more time to work. And then I do my oldest daughter's math lesson and then give her time to work. I'll talk to you more about how I actually execute our schedule during the day. But that is how I come up with our schedule. Sticky notes, names and subjects on sticky notes. I figure out when we need to start, when we would like to end by, kind of the flow that I would like our schedule to have, which is different this year. If you saw the scheduling video on how to do all the things, I figure out what I want our year to look like, and then I start plugging subjects in, and I move them around on the sticky notes until I have a plan that we can work with, and then I print it out, and that's what we go with. So for our day, here's typically how this goes. Not yet. Here's typically how this goes for our day. We wake up in the morning. Our day starts at about 6:45. Sorry. Our day starts at about 6:45. That's when I tell my girls we need to start our Bible study time, personal Bible study time, and they need to get their chores done. Their first chores. They have what's called their big five that they're required to do every day before breakfast. So I'll wake them up about 6:30. 6:45, they need to be ready to start doing their Bible study. We have an hour set aside for that, whatever that looks like. But that's their Bible study time. So at 7:45, they have 15 minutes to get dressed, brush their hair, brush their teeth, and make their bed. Okay, that's the other part of their big five that they're required to have done before breakfast. If they don't, that's going to cut into their free time later. So when we come down for breakfast, we'll eat, and then we have a morning basket of stuff that we do. This was an idea that I heard in an online homeschool conference that I really loved. So during and at the end of breakfast, we'll do our morning basket, which usually consists of, some poetry or a short story. Right now we're doing a little study of hymns as poetry. Our church has a contemporary service, so my kids aren't familiar with a lot of the older hymns. So we're studying those as poetry this year. So we'll do our study. We do a character quality study every week. So we'll talk about our character quality. We'll work on our memory verse that goes with that character quality. And at the end of breakfast, my daughter, who's assigned to clean the table, takes care of that. Everybody clears their place, washes their fingers and face, and then we go upstairs and we start school at 8:45. That's when we have found we need to start in order to get everything done. So we do a subject, take a break to do chores at the end of that subject time. When that chore that's done in that little 15-minute spot is done, they get free time until the next subject starts. So that's how my elementary students, how their schedule rolls. My preschooler, I have to work him in there now as well. Typically what I do with him is when we're doing our first subject of the day, I let him watch a little show. It's an educational show. He can't go watch Mickey and the Roadster Racers as much as he would love that, but he watches something like Sesame Street or Super Y or, some of the old Richard Scarry learning videos on YouTube. He'll watch something like that while we start school. So he's learning and being entertained at the same time. Typically the baby's down for a nap already by this time. So that's how our first block of the day will look. When we come back for a second subject, I'm going to get my girls started on stuff, but now I've got to work with my preschooler. So we'll get the baby entertained somewhere with some toy or a play set or something, and then I'll get out my preschool curriculum and work with my 3-year-old on his stuff. And I will do a separate video that's on my to-do list of videos, how to homeschool preschool, or what I use to homeschool preschool. So we get his workbook out and we do a few pages in his workbook. He's got a letter of the week that he learns about in colors, and we talk about the sound that it makes and think of words that start with this letter. But we do all of his different stuff during that second block, because by the time we get done with that third block of time, we're having lunch. Now, this is where I start doing our combined subjects. We do in the mornings, we do math, we do English, and we do what we call SPR, which is spelling, reading, and penmanship. We do all of those things in our morning school. That leaves history or geography, some sort of social studies, and science to be done after lunch. Typically what we do for the sake of time, because my two youngest daughters do like to take a rest break in the afternoon, typically what we'll do is read our history lesson while we eat lunch, because all of my kids are story people. And I found a history curriculum, which I will highlight in a separate video, that teaches history as a story. So it's very engaging and they love it. We haven't done any of the activities this year just because it's worked better for our schedule to just read it as a story and enjoy the story and then move on to science. But we will do our history lesson together and talk about it and enjoy it. And then I do science. Now, we don't do science every day of the week for a couple of reasons. First of all, because our science curriculum is designed to be done just twice a week. We have other activities that we can do relating to science in there if we need to, but for teachers' sake, we do science 2 days a week. Now, I already told you I'm teaching two different sciences, so I am teaching science 4 days out of the week. So typically we do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for science. So today, for example, I'm going to be doing my lower elementary science, which they're studying zoology this year. We're studying land animals along with our co-op, which I teach that as well. So we're going to start back as our co-op's coming back from Christmas break. We're going to start back getting into our zoology study. And then tomorrow, my 5th grader will do chemistry and physics. So we rotate our science. So a few days out of the week, some of my children get done with school early. Sometimes that means they do homework. So homework for our homeschool means any work that you don't get done in the allotted class time. Maybe it's something they need help with. Maybe it's something where we just ran out of time. Maybe it's something that they were dawdling and just didn't get to. Whatever it is, they'll typically do that either when they get done with school, when they get done with science on a long day, or when they finish with history and I'm doing science with the other child or children. All of my girls are dancing this year. So when we get done with school, it's time to start getting ready for dance. So we roll right from one thing into another. So as you can see, trying to homeschool multiple grades can seem like a really daunting task, but it honestly doesn't have to be. I have showed you the way that I do it, some of the things that make it a little bit easier for me, but my way of doing things is not the only way out there. So if you have experience homeschooling multiple grades and you would like to share that experience with us, feel free to put it in the comments so that everybody, all of the new homeschoolers can benefit from your experience and wisdom. If you have a question or a comment, again, feel free to put it down there. I would love to talk to you and help you with any more questions you have on this topic. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.